So we doing? Hey, what's up, big fella? I can't wait. I know there's gonna be a take. Don't say a word yet. I can see you chomping right now. Look at you,
There's
just
a lot of things on my
just spitting, just spitting.
Well, we got to watch that game kind of together. The
Yeah.
last 9 ounce, not even
Oh man,
7 ounce.
oh so hot, so hot. You're still hot from last night.
I'm hot because of like how you ended the conversation of how you're like, give me the microphone, because like this dude single-handedly ruined that. Like in my head, I've seen that moment happen so many times where I'm just like, you just took the moment from that kid who's actually playing the game and you made it your own. And it's like, you ruined it. You're not even playing the game, bro. So welcome to How to Win a Baseball Game. We're going to talk about a baseball game. How to lose and how to win a baseball game.
How to lose, how to win. So I'm going to set the scene a little bit, and then I want you, because I already know, you're that face right there. You're so hot. I know. I've been in the dugout for that moment, by the way, so many times, like where, like, it doesn't even matter what move was made post mound visit, but you're just like, why?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? All right, so LSU Oregon last night. I think we picked it up in the 7th, right?
I was watching it since the 4th.
Okay, so I've been bouncing around because I saw a couple other games. The Padres are playing too, and I had just kind of got home and was working on a couple things, and you texted me and you're like, "What is this?" And so we jump in, and now go ahead. The scene is set.
Oh no, I sent you what fired me up, which was, bottom of the 8th, Oregon's stud closer on the mound, right? Lefty throwing fuzz nuggets with a sword. And this dude, first of all, college baseball is, like, in my opinion, such an underrated view of, like, the grind, because so much of college baseball is played without a camera anywhere. So, like, I feel like a lot of these kids, like, when they get a camera on them, not that they get nervous, they're like, I actually kind of have to hold stuff back. So now we're nationally televised. I can't act like I hit a double and then I puff a heater on second base. You know what I mean? Like, they've got to tone it down a little bit. So
That's funny.
one of the things that
Puff a heater
fired me up was man on second and third, bottom of the 8th, in Oregon. Winner goes to the Super Regional, and you've got like the 5, 6, 7 up for LSU, no outs, and it's
lefty on the mound,
and
righty at the plate,
been working. And I don't know the statistics on LSU's bunt history on the year, but I've been watching college baseball for a long time. I don't think I've ever seen LSU win a game off of a bunt. And again,
I don't think you're allowed to.
Like, what?
If you're in the SEC, I don't think you're allowed to win by bunt in the SEC.
I honestly don't think SEC teams bunt unless it's like, hey, I've got 15 jacks and your third baseman's playing a mile back. I'm just going to lay this down to get a free knock. But so this is my pet peeve on how to lose a baseball game. The game is played on the field. I don't know when it happened, and you've seen it too, but the wristbands and the belt bands, and every pitch, the coach calls out 23-17. Everybody stops and they do this thing, right? And then everyone does it, right? I get it. You want everybody on the same page, right? But here's where your control takes the control out of the person's hands who's playing it. And this is where I want you to chime in, because this is what happened, guys. Man on second and third, LSU's 5, 6, 7 are up, right? And Oregon's coach, who, by the way, is a good coach, he's got, I think he's 108 and 60 in 3 head coach seats. That's pretty good. And the dude sniffs out, hey, these guys are going to squeeze here. And they pick over, I don't know how many times, right? Never squeezes. Ground ball to the first baseman. Guy tries to make a hell of a play at the plate. Now it's a one-run ball game. Now you got a guy at first and third. Now he really starts getting fishy on this squeeze and just takes this kid who's been, relatively grooving pretty well. I mean, it's kind of hard for a closer to go 3 innings. What do you have, 3 pitches at the most?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's hard. And this kid's working. And you make him pick off 9 times or whatever it was, probably like 4 times in like 2 pitches, and just knocks this kid out of the groove.
Felt
Then
like
they keep going to the dugout, 23-15, 16-11, whatever it is. Eventually, communications gets lost because you're trying to communicate from the dugout onto the field, and these guys are playing the game. Maybe they don't feel that moment. The first baseman crashes, and the pitcher picks. Fuck. Tie game. Now you got a guy on second, tie game, right? Pitcher didn't even throw a pitch technically to lose the game, right? Like, they've taken the ball out of his hands. Now you got a guy on second with, I think, LSU's like one of their hotter hitters at the plate, double the gap. Now LSU is on top. It's a 1-run lead, and I think it took 3 pitches that the guy actually threw, But even on that play at the plate, he made a great pitch, and the first baseman just struggled. I mean, it was like LSU athlete, right? Dude's a hell of an athlete, burning down the third baseline, right? It's a tough play. But when and this is where I want you to chime in, because this is your realm, not mine. Because if I was a catcher and I'm just sitting here, I'm just like, so brutal. Like, this is bad. This is so bad. So you've seen that situation. What is that like to take – pitching's already hard. So
right.
Tell me, what is that like?
Well, I have so many thoughts on this. I think that it's come down so much to the coach in college, because the coach is the face of the program and he does all this stuff. And it's also the same issue in the National League, where they're worried about the managerial moves and all this stuff. But like, the coaches don't even make the most money in the game. And so like, I'm just over coaches. You can't even call me a coach. Like, they're just too involved in the game. There's one thing if it's strategy and trying to do stuff, and I understand college baseball and the first to third play where you got to protect the squeeze because, you have to figure it out. But either way, second baseman's not in the right spot anyway. Looked at him in the video. If you're going to do the crash, he has to cheat super early on that to play for it, which kind of opens up the slash, but you want them to kind of make have that thought process as they go into it. And, the game should be settled against pitcher versus hitter. And when you get too many, chiefs involved in the game, there's really an issue. And we're talking about pace of play. And,
that dude, honestly, he was like this on the mound. When I was watching,
right. He was running. He was good. Rhythm's just so important. And, I think it's the fact that we can play 9-inning college baseball games in under 3 hours, but we can't figure it out in the major leagues is crazy to me as well. But it's obvious what the issues are. They just get so much more freedom than they do in college. So in this situation, it's hard to say whose fault it actually is on the pick to first. That's the really frustrating thing. It's obvious the way that kid moved to pick. There was no doubt he was picking in his brain. He was confused as soon as he came set when he lifted his leg and the first baseman crashed. And he was like, that is not whatever signal/number it is right there. So, I mean, it's just too involved. It really is. It's unfortunate, but you see it all the time. And there's a complete misconception in the game of baseball where that's the stuff that wins travel tournaments. That's the stuff that wins these little games where you need to small ball and manufacture a run, right? But those people don't play in the big leagues. And that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to put together with stuff is like, well, we don't see that. That's not, I'm pretty sure the Rays and the Dodgers had a couple situations like that where we could have had a squeeze play or something like that. And I'm pretty sure last year was like the first time we never had a bunt in the playoffs. But I haven't confirmed nor denied that. I need to look that up. Don't know where to find that information. So interwebs, help me with that.
Right. And it seems like this is why I asked you, why do you think college football is the best? And one of the reasons why I was thinking about it was college basketball sucks to watch because they're calling plays almost every single time. You never see guys go out there and flow, because when you watch guys go, like, you see cooler stuff when there's less structured play, because people aren't trying to stay within the boundaries of the structure that you're giving them, right? Mm-hmm. So if you tell somebody, hey, you know, we're going to meet at the top of the key, run a pick and roll, this guy's going to be open, we're going to throw that. Yes, it's going to guarantee a basket. And if they go play in the NBA, they need to know how to do that. But at the same time, quote Gladiator, you win the crowd, you win your freedom, right? Baseball is a boring crowd game for so many people because of stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Like, you're letting people lose interest because you're not even playing the game and you're trying to win. Like, I had this thought yesterday. Why is college football a little bit better? I still feel like you can call a play, but you still got to make stuff happen. And it's going to be chaos, right, when all that stuff goes down. So it's very free. In baseball and in basketball, because you can take such measured shots, they try to do that. And so you get these guys that are really good at measuring, but aren't necessarily the best athletes, trying to make really good athletes just measure. But it's like, you see the advantage in LSU, like those guys, when they went up to the plate, by the way, that Morgan the third, first baseman for LSU, that guy can play baseball. Like, the way he had an at-bat against that lefty, like, that dude was so in the moment. Like, he looked like Juan Soto in there. He was so free, and he was like, you could see the excitement. He was 0 for 2 in the last 2 innings with 2 BBs to left field. Absolute BBs off of Oregon's best guy that most of his teammates struggled with, right? And then you look at, you know, maybe another team like Tarleton State, a Division II program that I played in Texas, where every guy does the exact same pregame routine. Every guy is almost essentially dressed the same. Every guy does if they pop out to second base, they all run it out until the ball's caught, right? Every single one of them, right? On foul balls, every one of them like looks at their bat, they look at the foul pole, and it's like the craziest thing ever. And sure, every once in a while, you get enough kids where the personalities work with the system that you're running, and it makes it look like it works because you win a couple games. But for the most part, I feel like it's just the coaches that want to win that way. Like, if you were to ask the kids, hey, do you want to win by safety squeeze? The kid would be like, no, I'm trying to hit a ball in the gap or hit one over the fence.
Yeah. It does seem like coaches are trying to do stuff. Like, they're trying to be involved. You know what I mean? You just saying that made me think about Luis Soho, my manager, when I was in Mochi's. And he was 14-year big leaguer with the Yankees. And I constantly was just trying to get into his brain and learn stuff. And I was asking him about, like, how, you know, what's the deal with managing? What do you see? Because it just seems like you just sit here a ton. And he goes, if I'm doing my job, I don't really do anything. I just kind of watch the entire game. We win. I go home, go do it all again tomorrow.
Yeah. We lose, I got to change something. You know?
Yeah, something bad's going on. I got to move something around, move a piece or do something. I don't really want to do that. I just want to kind of ride the plan, do the thing we're supposed to do. I don't really want to leave my seat. If I do my job, I don't leave my seat. I'm like, that's a great point. That is a great point.
Same thing with the umpires. You really only want to hear the umpire's name like once, and that's in the beginning of the game. That's about the only time you ever want to hear the umpire's name.
I think it's terrible, the fact that we know so many umpires' names in general. We should know their name. Why are we giving these humans power? They don't have power.
All right. They're observing the game and just trying to call it as square as they can. They're literally you could argue the umpires are the biggest fans of baseball. Because they're all agreeing, like, hey, we're just going to stand here and just watch. Like, that's so hard to do and to stay engaged. Like, they're so present. Like, for a home plate umpire to be 60 whatever years old and to, like, be good at seeing the plate, dude, that's hard to do. But he's involved. He feels the moment. I bet that home plate umpire last night would have looked at Oregon and be like, this dude ain't button. I just feel it right now. You know? And but he's the guy that's involved in the game, right? The coach, yeah, he's sitting down, but you don't feel what's happening. You don't feel this guy's presence in the box. Like, I remember feeling guys' presence when they step in the box and being like, oh, okay. Or like, this dude ain't shit. Like, one or the other. Like, there's variance in how that is. And just like you said last night, like, I can't even say it enough. When you take the game out of somebody's hands to make it your own game instead of letting that person figure it out, it brings me back to the idea of moves to win that we talked about in our last podcast. Like, you didn't really teach that kid any moves to win, or if you did, at that point, you stopped believing in his ability to win because you had to get involved.
Yeah.
You know? So it's hard for, and one of the announcers, I don't know who was announcing last night, but he said something that was really important that goes with why you should do live at bats and not just summer ball and travel ball, but you should like just get reps. And all he talked about was this 19-year-old from Oregon came in, just shoved the door right in on LSU. And he's throwing like 95, just absolute gas, has like tattoos on his forearm. I have a great hot take for pitchers, starting pitchers. Actually, maybe all pitchers, and you might be offended by it. But essentially, this kid goes in there and just absolutely shuts the door down. But the announcer says, I'm really impressed by this kid for being, a freshman and to not have a year of development and to have an understanding of his pitches. And I was like, that's really true. Like, for a kid to go up there and slice up LSU, right? Like at 19, like that's hard to do. So to your opinion, right? Do you think that a coach getting involved like that could ever be positive for a player's development to understand the moment? Or do you think we're being too harsh on that?
Oh, goodness. I mean, you get on the other side and you see the coaching side of it of
what if they do squeeze? He's a genius, right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Like if he squeezes and it works, he's a genius, right? And everybody loves, everybody goes, oh man, small ball, right? But it's just not that easy to execute a squeeze. I mean, the idea that that's an automatic thing for someone to get down and knowing things like I know, like if you're going to bunt or you're going to squeeze, I'm going to throw my hardest pitch to hit, which would be my slider or my cutter. And so two things are going to happen when I do that. Number one, you're going to change your angle without realizing that you are on your preset angle because I know you're in college. And number two, it's going to be moving late and away from you, which means that you're probably going to be lunging with it, right? And so I'm anticipating left side of the mound, and I know I have to option play to the catcher immediately, right? Yeah, it's kept option, boom, option. For all you American guys that know the veer as we ran it in high school, we ran the wing T option, send the running back around the backside to a weird I formation, and then let's just run.
And for those of you who don't think that works, De La Salle won 140-something games in a row running that offense.
Right. And it works until you run into SEC defenses that understand lateral, strategic lateral moves.
So your squeeze bullshit works.
Yeah, exactly, right? It works, right? It works when it needs to work unless you run into somebody that knows what they're doing on the mound. And that's the thing.
In a sense.
Right. Or a coach that understands, there's a base open. Maybe we should just throw curveballs every time. And then he'll bunt it right back to the pitcher, and we'll glove flip it, and we'll go from there. Right. So, yeah, man, last night was frustrating because you could see that, just like you said, that kid on the mound was just.
You could see him melt. You could see him melt.
What are we doing?
Heartbreaking. I was like, dude, I feel for this kid so bad. Because, number one, baseball's a lonely sport. You stand there a lot of the time, away from a lot of people. So you're in your thoughts. But at that exact moment, that dude was so lonely on the mound because he felt lost for sure. He was like, I'm out here shoving and, yeah, sure, they scored one run, but, now, I can't even pitch. You want me doing all this? It's really interesting how the idea of sports is to play the game, but how certain guys have, certain baseball coaches have, like we said, gotten involved, they're playing the game. Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, it's It's unfortunate. I didn't realize what I had in junior college and high school where we were allowed to play the game, where my high school head coach really didn't even do anything. And looking back on it, he was going to retire, and there were a lot of things he could have done, but he also played AA level baseball, so it made sense the way he kind of worked with us and how he did stuff. He didn't necessarily. He was we knew what to do with the ball. We didn't have to necessarily. Our baseball IQ as our team was pretty good, but we weren't very good at executing. We didn't win baseball games or anything. So happens,
Winning's
right?
hard.
Hey, winning's hard.
You can set yourself up for it, right?
Right.
Like, for the most part, like, one of the things that I've seen Paul Maneri, I think, I don't know how many College World Series. I told you last night. I was like, I'm a
yeah, I know. He was like, it's a great story. I just started giggling. I'm like, yeah,
like, but, like, I saw him. So I remember when pre-BB Core, LSU went to the College World Series, and there was a kid from Livermore where I'm at. He played on the same Babe Ruth team as I did, but he was like a year or two ahead of me. So I was 11 when he was out of the league. But he played third base for LSU. Maybe a 300 hitter, maybe not. He hit at the bottom of their lineup. But I remember following LSU that year, and they always just ripped the shit out of the baseball. I've never seen an LSU team that couldn't hit, like, ever. I've never seen an LSU team where, like, yeah, they're all defense and small ball. Like, every time, don't they get like 1,000 people at their practices? Like, that is like a true baseball organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember hearing Paul Maneri, like, talk to his players. It reminds me a lot of Joe Madden. Like, when you get guys that create freedom for guys to be themselves, you get these, like, these dudes that just step up.
Hey, and you know what's great? You know what's great about that too? Just thinking about last night was, did you see when they cut to him on the side in the dugout? He was as nervous as the players in the dugout.
Oh, dude, he was twitching.
Didn't know what was going
like,
on.
yeah.
He's bending over, going, "Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be sick," right? Because he's so into the game too, which really tells the story of, like, he didn't put no plays on. He's gonna say, "Hey, hit the ball."
And I was also thinking this at the same time. Look at the difference between the two coaches. The other guy, he had a clipboard. He was sitting down. He had shit to do. Paul was just sitting there. He's just kind of like, man, this is a good game. You know,
great game. This is a great.
Come on, watch it. You know, and I think there's been a few LSU players that have stood out, and one of them was this guy named Jared Mitchell that never really made it, but he was a first-round draft pick for the White Sox. Dude was pretty good at LSU. He was a two-sport player. He played football. He was like a fifth string, like a wide receiver for LSU. But then, like, when he's on the baseball field, like, nobody's faster than this guy, right? Which, I mean, shows you, like, how crazy athletic football players are, right? Mm-hmm. Then they just walk into the baseball field and it's just like gangbusters. But the guy played with so much, like, fun. And that's what I see when I see LSU baseball. I see guys that have a lot of fun. Like, I saw a guy leave the yard yesterday named Dugas or something like that. Dude deadlifts every day for sure. Huge. And, like, he hit a ball, and just like when they got into the dugout, like, you could – this is why I love college baseball. There's such a good camaraderie between those guys, and you could see the love. And even on Oregon's side, right, they love each other too, but, like, your coach would, you know, take the at-bat out of your hand or take the ball out of your hand, right, where Paul is just like, go play. Go play. And that's why he's been, I think, to the College World Series so many times. That's why I think he's, you know, the Bregmans and the Nolas and the LeMahieu. Not LeMahieu. Did he go to LSU? No.
No.
This is a Louisiana-sounding last name.
It is. LeMahieu is a very Louisiana.
But there's a few guys that have come out of that program that are really, like, they're just fun to watch. And I think that's an important factor that he does, which is make the game fun. Now, you know who didn't have fun was that bullpen guy last night. They kept cutting to him. He's just standing behind the fence. Like, that dude was pissed. But here's my take, and I want you to hear it. I was inspired by Dustin May because I have never seen a meaner-looking dude on the mound. Like when that guy's on the mountain, I'm like, dude, that dude looks like real crazy. And, you know, a lot of the pitchers that I've caught in my life, the prettier they were, the worse they were in tough situations. The uglier the pitcher, the better they were in tough situations.
Very anecdotal there.
Very anecdotal. So, if I were to be a college baseball manager, like when I sent you that, I tell all my recruits, I don't want a single pitcher that's good looking. I want the grossest 90-mile-an-hour throwing dudes. So they're just up there just attacking the zone. I'll take hitters that are a little pretty, though. I feel like pretty hitters, you know, they got a lot of pride. You know, they got that machismo and stuff like that. But I feel like pitchers are like hound dogs. You gotta it's the cat and the dog. You gotta make the hitter into the cat, right? And so I want a dude that's up there that's just like, yeah, you bit my face, whatever. Like I'm right here. Like I'm standing right there. That's what I want. And I felt that from a couple of the like LSU guys and a couple of the Oregon dudes. They were a little ugly, not gonna lie. So, you know, that's my, if I were a college baseball coach, I'd tell all my recruiters, hey, I need ugly pitchers. I want absolute dogs.
That's hilarious. I have, you know, I've gone both. I've got clean shaven, beard, long hair, short hair. You know, I would say it's depending on what works, right? You can try all the options. One sticks, you're just going to ride that for the season. I think it is seasonal or career, though, you know, because a lot of those things have lifespans, if you may.
True, very true. You can only have Don Mattingly took his mustache throughout a whole decade. It was excellent.
Yes. Now, did you happen to catch the Arkansas game?
I don't think so. I'd probably have to watch Wheels on that.
Oh my goodness, you're in for a quality, absolute. Oh, first thing that pops up: LSU and Oregon on Wheels. Good job.
Hey,
if anybody isn't subscribed and following Wheels on YouTube, you're completely missing it. This might be one of the coolest channels that has figured out how to speed up baseball games. Nebraska, Arkansas. Okay, what a ball game! Number one in the country, Arkansas, Nebraska. I don't want to ruin it for you, but man. Let me scroll to a 2-2 bases loaded in the eighth. No, I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. Oh man, I'm so glad I found this. Okay, so here's what we got: 2-2 in the eighth.
Nebraska had a baseball team, to be completely honest. I was like, it's too cold there.
Hey, and these dudes are they play on the road. You know what I mean? Like that's all. All those teams play in indoor facilities and play on the road pretty much. And their home field is basically for playoffs, right? So anyway, 2-out walk, right? Okay, 2-out walk. We get a guy on. We got a right-hander for Nebraska that's pumping 92. Okay, another 2-out walk. 4-pitch walk. Bases juiced. 2-2, right? Okay.
How many outs?
2.
Oh, fuck me.
He gets 2 quick outs, right? And here's the thing. Both guys start, he goes slow, fast on first 2 guys. Gets him 0-2, goes heat, goes punchy, heat, goes punchy. 2 outs, goes first pitch heat, misses, goes 3-2, but doesn't throw the breaker, right? Like mainly all heat, like weird, and misses up, right? Next guy, breaker, bounces it, breaker, bounce it, ball, right? And then all fastballs again for the 4-pitch walk to load him. Now, here we go. First pitch fastball.
This dude's all over the place with his sequences. Like, just trying to figure it out.
First pitch fastball, ball. Little bit up, very close. Second pitch, spikes it, and the catcher stands no chance, right? But here's the thing I noticed during the game, and you can't see this on Wheels. Arkansas at home, sold out stadium. I couldn't tell you the last time any of these Nebraska kids could handle the pressure of what those stadium was putting on. Loud. Oh man, loud energy, music, lights, the whole thing. And he spikes it. It's so loud. First lead of the night. 2 outs in the 8th on a bounce pass to the catcher.
Sounds like 3rd and goal in like Pittsburgh.
Dude, it's unreal. Unreal, these guys getting after it. And then, I forgot. And then, after the bounce pass, 2-0, Peter, number 19, hits a moonball. Absolute moonshot out of the stadium with the crowd. And you got to see the crowd go crazy. It's 100% what baseball should be in the major leagues. And all of these people are tied into the moment. They're having fun. And it's what we miss, you know? A lot of the atmosphere that is created in baseball at the lower levels is inside the dugout. And that's not exactly how you do it. And it's not pre-pitch. It's not cheering, right? It's emotion to the situation. If you react to the pitch or to the play, that is entirely okay. You can do whatever you want, right? But the rah-rah thing of the eyewash to stay in the game, right? First of all, for all you parents and players that don't know this, that is brainwashing because all they're trying to do is keep you in the game. That's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to – you watch the pitch – and you stay there. That's the hey batter thing. That is designed to keep you focused on the batter. That is an absolute auditory device that does that. And there's a lot of things inside the game of baseball that do that. And if you don't know what's going on and you watch Manny Machado, you might think that he's lazy if you don't understand what's going on. Because he doesn't play hard. Because you don't see him run on and off the field. He doesn't hustle from the moment he leaves, right? And it's just a different thing. It's a different game completely. And you can see that in this stuff, in this little warfare of the situation where a lot of these guys that are playing college baseball know exactly what's going to happen because their coaches have made it very easy for them to handle this thing. This ball this guy throws is the weakest ball he threw all game, and listen to it. I think we're going to get screwed on commercial.
Yeah. I just graduated 10 people from my mentorship program this morning, and on average,
I hate that.
Here we go.
Dude, it's so loud. Like you just hear the ding in an instant. Like it's.
And they're going crazy.
Was that a dude who hit that though? Was that like their guy?
Oh, no, it was
Dude, I love how college baseball like truly ends up like. Well, baseball always seems to end up like. Whenever somebody blows a lead, you always end up in this position of like, all right, and you got to go through your 3, 4. Like Oregon had a shot last night. They had their 2, 3, 4, and 5 guys come up after they blew it with a 1-run, or they had 2 runs to go. Excuse me. So, your boy Thompson that you talked about, he was duded last night. Came up big. Up big.
He's a good kid. It's fun to see him. It's fun to see him, doing his thing at that level, and he was a very talented athlete.
He had a couple of good like heads up moments that again, like if you make robots, it's hard to have these heads up moments where guy on second, it's a weakly hit ball, right-handed pitcher's falling off to the left side of the mound, third baseman's playing on the line. He goes up and makes a play. Fakes the throw, makes the spin, turns around, runner's on the bag. But he did it with so much like speed, right? It was just such a playful thing that the runner, he reached for the bag. He was like, oh shit. But he wasn't anywhere close to being out.
Right.
It's just the idea of like, hey, I'm playing this game in such a creative way. Like I'm just like looking for outs, right? There's no like rule that says you have to get it and throw it to the force out, right? Just you find that hidden ball trick, man. There's a reason why it works. Right? Because it's just another way of getting an out, right? Dude, I had this conversation we have a major league umpire that works at our facility, and every once in a while, he and I, like, hit these agreements where it's like, dude, how come nobody else thinks like this? Like, I was telling these kids the other day, I was like, what are the 2 ways you can actually get on base? And, they were like, you get a single and a double. And I was like, yeah. And then they all kind of like, well, you get walked. It was like, and You get hit. And I was like, what's the other one? It's there. I was like, so there's only two things that happen. Either they made a mistake or you got hit. One of the two things, right? The other one is you got out. There's only 2 out of 3 things that can happen. And you guys need to understand that drawing a walk is a great way to knock it out. And just like not swinging at certain pitches. And that guy was like, you know how crazy that is that you just said that? And like, there are so many big leaguers that talk about that, but it doesn't trickle down. Like it never really trickles down. That Morgan kid that I was talking about last night, that left-handed closer was getting tons of people with fastballs up, sliders down, fastballs in, sliders away, just making them track and work on balance. He didn't bite once. Got a pitch to hit, 2-1 count, both at bats, smokes balls to the left side, right? But he got those pitches to hit by not swinging because he wasn't getting reactive. He was so calm. Yeah, sure, he was like jumpy, but he was like having fun. He wasn't like, rah, rah, let's go. He was just like, it reminded me of like he was doing live at bats with you. Like you were like, you jumped on that cutter, and he was like, I know I did, but you didn't get me. Like he had that playful mindset.
Yeah.
Like I got to stand up so I can like, he took this pitch, right, on a slider. Like he took it, right, he goes, boom, and he kind of hops. He's like, hoo-hoo. Like he kind of like smiles, right? Because he was like, I was close. I was close to.
You almost got me. You almost got me.
But he stayed playful. And I think that's a big thing that is an emphasis for me on this episode right now is like, play the game. Don't create like these maybe situations that are like kind of low percentage, and then you're trying to meet the low percentage with another low percentage thing or whatever it is. Just like, hey, do you have good athletes at first and third base? Yeah. Trust them to make the squeeze play then. You have a 2-run lead, man. Like, play with some balls. You know what I mean? Like act like you guys can score 7 runs like you did in the first 8 innings, right? Like, act like you guys can play the game and create stuff. It seems more of an artistry, you know, like baseball really is like an expression of an athlete's ability. Like your ability to talk about like what you can do with a baseball. That's just like an artist talking about, I can use my paintbrush like this. I can make it like this. I can do that. I can do this. But that only comes from like painting. That doesn't come from somebody telling you, okay, John, now you need to make straight lines going this way. And then we do this. Like, now I just know how to make straight lines, right? But I don't know what I like to do, speaking as you, right? Like,
right.
Maybe John likes to, you know, draw the space. He likes to draw the stars. He likes to draw the Milky Way. These lines have nothing to do with that, you know? So if you're a guy that likes to, you know, throw 95, that's awesome. But what, like someone just taught you how to throw hard. What else are you going to do with that? Right? Like, okay, you're incredibly gifted, and I'll use this art analogy. You're incredibly gifted at throwing colors together, but all of your drawings suck. So it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's just a big emphasis, I think, for my future in coaching. And this is that question that I asked you, which was, when and why did structured college baseball happen?
Oh, man.
Like, that's something that really I felt like has, like, the numbers thing. Like, I don't remember that happening, and then one day it was, like, everywhere.
I mean, for me, it's always kind of been there because it's in the South. So I'm assuming that the teams that were the best back in the day were the ones that had the best systems, and that's what pretty much college baseball is like there's a system. You just plug a player into a system, and he gets better or gets worse. But, you know, you show up, you do this, you do that, and then, you know, it works from there. So, I mean, I don't know, probably the 80s or something like that. You know, I would say that some 70s or 80s, somewhere around there where – because it's very military. I always say the militarization of baseball in college baseball is the worst part.
And that's what I mean by the structure.
Right. Everybody, it does look like a uniform when you were saying that earlier. They don't want players with their name on the back of it because it's about the team, but the team is about the coach. So it's just a whole circle of like narcissistic situation.
Oh, I'm gonna rip on Oregon's jerseys yesterday. Those numbers looked like duct tape. And some drunk dude just came and ran in at a black shirt.
Why were they wearing coaching tops? What were you doing?
There's no buttons.
The
logo was dope. The logo was super cool.
A two-button coaching top. What are we doing?
With no button.
Yeah,
no button.
There was no button?
No buttons.
No button. What are we doing?
With duct tape, giant, like some blind alma mater was like, I sit in center field. I can't see the pitcher's number.
Nike needs to figure it out. Nike, first of all, FIO, please. FIO, 100%. Okay.
Oh, here's an interesting thing that I thought of while I was watching the game. Do you ever watch the on-deck hitter's reaction to a guy in front? Like, say you sword that dude up, you K him up, right? Let's say he's hot, right? Do you ever look at the next guy up and, like, see what he does?
I have, but it's not. You're just so locked into the guy right in front of you.
I understand that. I was just curious.
Yeah, and when he walks up, you're just like, oh, hello, sir. Hi.
Yeah.
It's time to dance. Ready to see what we're made of here?
The reason I asked was Dylan Cruz. Did you watch that guy last night?
Who was he with?
He's on LSU. They call him Mini Mike Trout. Apparently, the dude's just just amazing, right? Oregon's dude swords him up, right, just like he was doing everyone else. And they showed him swing and miss, and then they showed the on deck hitter kind of just go like, eesh, like, oh man, if he got him. And I was just like, man, I feel like you already lost that at bat. You're already going up there like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like I thought of like hitters should really have like that. They really should have a cold samurai mindset. Like, he got him, but he still has to get me. And so I was just thinking about that because I was like, when this dude was mowing everybody down, you look invincible when you're mowing people down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to see that hitter's face go, man, that was tough, right? But it was just a split second. So I just thought I'd ask you. I was like, you ever notice that? Like, maybe you're just slicing through a lineup and the guy on deck is just like, what in the hell? It was just a funny little moment.
It is. It really is. It's we can go back and forth. The game is great. The game is terrible, right? Like, it just depends on, man, it just really depends on, I guess, the players that are, if everybody's on the same page, if everybody's out there trying to have fun, I always say that if there were no coaches or adults on the field, the game would be completely different. It would be 100% cul-de-sac baseball like I grew up with. Sandlot, cul-de-sac, same idea. And when you watch an adult league game or a Sunday league game in TJ and there are no coaches and the coach is coaching third and playing shortstop because that's what his job is to kind of float around and do stuff, there's just a different process because there's a different respect level because it's like everybody has to do their job, but it's also like you have to, if you screw up, that's the guy that's in the lineup that's on your team. It's not like the coach got involved there. So, I'm anti-coach. Even the guys that we work with, I'm just like, hey, we try to help you guide your brain like a caddy, but I don't need to be at the game. What is me being at the game going to help you do? Nothing. It's going to create anxiety. There's going to be all kinds of stuff because you're going to be wondering what I'm thinking, right? Instead of just being, controlled in your thought process and staying true to what you're feeling and thinking and being present-minded, but also present located, like understanding what you're doing at the exact moment.
Present located and present mindedness. Yeah. Those are super important. And what you said earlier about the manager, it's almost like the coach is doing a good job the less he has to really say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, stay out of the way. Stay out of the way. Let it happen. You don't have to do anything. Just stay out of the way. And there's a lot of people that want to do stuff. I get it. But what are you going to do? Honestly,
It's really fascinating. Really fascinating, like how how it's really gotten to the point where it's like, because again, you think about those two coaches, Paul Maneri, who's been at LSU. I mean, dude, he's, I think, been a head coach in college baseball for like 30 plus years, like for a long time, right? And then Mike Martin's about 40, right? Before he retired, he was like 40 some years. And I mean, Mike, like those guys, like at some point they probably understand, again, like, you know, charts and all this, that stuff is great. But at the end of the day, like, it's the players that play the game. And if they're not necessarily figuring out how to progress, that's when you help them. But you don't need to like hold their hand every at bat. You know, I've talked about that last time. Like, kid steps out, hey, you know, get your hands to the ball, blah, 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 blah. There's the dad behind the dugout doing this to his son, like, get over the top. Like, it's like, bro, chill, dude. So it's that same thing where it's just, so I don't know if I said this on the first or the second one, but one of the Gracie fathers, after his sons would lose fights, he would buy them presents. But after they won fights, he wouldn't buy them anything. He's like, I don't want them to get discouraged. I just want them to keep playing. Because the more you play, the more you're going to understand. So I think it's super important that we get kids to play the game, but that means you got to play the game the right way, right? Which, honestly, maybe the best way to teach kids how to play the game is, like, coaches should just honestly, maybe there should be, like, a guidebook, right, to how to actually coach practices to teach people how to win games, because that's what it is. And like how you said, it is pitcher and hitter. That's 85% of the time, right? The other 15% is so massive. It's so massive. But, like, that's where kids get lost. That's where we got lost last night, that 15% where, you know, something weird happened, but you could have just let the 85% take place.
Yeah.
You know?
It wasn't like he was doing bad. And he had a 2-run lead.
And it's not like he's your last guy left. Come on, man. You got a whole bullpen full of dudes. Like, oh my gosh, dude, that poor dude. If they had lost that game, I told you I would have called Paul and be like, I'm transferring.
I'm out.
I'm out, son.
Yeah.
Last thing that I want to ask you before we got to sign off here. So we've got a summer where, you know, I think development's coming back. You've got, by my love, you've got development coming back, like that guy said. Guys aren't playing now. They were playing, you know, after a year of development. So this summer, right, is probably going to be the first summer in quite a while that I really believe we're going to see a jump in player development, at least where I am, because I'm watching a lot of these kids right now, and I'm like, dude, you kids are like, you're doing a lot of really cool stuff because of kind of where the pandemic put us. Like, in terms of, like, kids are getting out of school at, like, 11:30 so they can go to baseball, and, like, you know, they're taking advantage of this stuff. So for the summer, what are some steps that you think would help a hitter or a pitcher to just help them develop through the summer to, like how we talked about, help them win baseball games for their team?
I would say increase your frequency of competing inside the hitting or pitching space. Whether that's watching video, trying to put yourself in the situation and see if you can understand what pitches are going to come. Blitz ball, I think, is a phenomenal hitting tool for guys because it's so far outside the range of movement of what you would see normally. And that can really make it easier to hit a baseball when you understand that it doesn't have those capabilities, right? It's literally a lesser moving version of the game, probably less speed too. So that, you know, that's fun. I think educating yourself on, like, what actually works and being able to evaluate yourself is the biggest thing to know, are things working or not? You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest. You know, you can go to a tournament and go 0 for 0 and get walked every time. There's nothing you can control about that. and
Right.
You don't see a lot of bunting in tournaments because, if it were my kid and he got asked to bunt and he got limited at bats, I'd be like, what are we doing? I understand what's great for the team, right? But tell me when a double doesn't solve the problem. I need to know that. When does hitting a double situationally not solve any problem? Tell me that.
Literally never. It always will solve the problem. It's like
Right.
It's never a bad time.
Right. It's my response now every time where hey, let's get the bunt down. Let's hit a double. Let's do that. Get the bunt down. Let's hit a double. Oh, it's not that easy. Well, there's guys out there that's what they do. So maybe not that easy for you in the way you're thinking about it right now, Mr. Negative Nancy, but
Right.
that guy wants to hit a double over there. Why don't we do that guy?
That guy's probably going to have better success in the moment because he has desire to get after it. He's like, let's hit a double, bro.
No big
Good. It's a good piece of advice. Increase your frequency of playing the game. It's a good one. It's a really good one. I like that nugget.
You always do that. You always ask me questions for me to say things.
Well, that's the point of having a conversation.
True, but what I'm saying is you lob up these alley-oops very well to me.
Oh, well, that's the point of playing the game. You can't have structured conversations because then you don't get this free shit that happens. You have to just ask these I wanted to ask something that was because I think that where you and I are, we understand there's almost places once you get to, it's like, okay, now you're ready to work on this. But you have to do so much, right? So what did this guy just ask?
How do I take an opportunity to have fun, make it learning or educational opportunity? My example, taking my son to an MLB game, ask questions, let him enjoy the game. Oh, dude, for sure ask. Oh, my God. Okay, here's all you got to do. This is all you got to do.
Yeah.
All you got to do, right, is ask him if he recognizes the pitches that are being thrown when you go to the big league game.
Make sure at a good spot to see the pitches.
No, even then, you doesn't even matter because you can look at the radar gun. You can look at the gun, right?
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
Right? And then see if you can see him identify it. And then if he doesn't, just know that the speed of the radar gun will tell you what pitch it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So right? You've got to learn those. And if you could probably pull up on Baseball Savant, whoever is pitching, and show them the speeds so he can start going 84 is a slider, 95 is a fastball, 72 is a curveball,
right?
80 is a changeup, right?
Right.
And then have him see if he can guess what pitch is coming.
Ooh, that's a fun game.
And then he'll be a hitter. And then you can watch him, well, why'd he throw this? And then you can have a conversation. You take someone to the game and they don't even know what game they're watching. The game is not watching Tatis at shortstop, unfortunately. It's not. Right? It's not Trout in center, right? It's none of that. That's not the game. When you go to a baseball game, that's not the game. The game is Jacob deGrom went to San Diego and threw 14 cutters in a row and struck out 9 guys in a row.
Pretty dope.
That was crazy. He was striking out everybody in 3 pitches on the same pitch. Every lefty, he threw a down and in cutter, either strike or strike ball. And I just watched him. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And no one's paying attention. And he's throwing the same pitch to the same spot to the same guy. Just whack.
And that kind of brings me to how I would answer that guy is the exact same thing that I tell every single kid. You need to get really good at beating people online in the show if that's an opportunity you have.
Yeah.
Because especially if you have the ability to really dedicate I know this sounds really kind of silly, but dedicate time to a video game. The only reason I say that is because you learn these pitch trails, right? And you understand how the ball moves. And you can see oh, the fastball moves like this and his curveball goes off his fastball like that.
Mm-hmm.
And to go to John's point, right? Then you take the game into the batter's box or behind the plate or on the mound, and the guy has an understanding. Once you know your release point, what does A look like? Then you know what B is going to look like, and C and D. And I explained that to one of my hitters the other day, and I was like, you got to follow guys' misses sometimes. Because sometimes a guy will follow their miss because it's a lot easier for him to correct off of that than to make a totally different pitch. Because now we have to do something totally different instead of like, okay, I made a little adjustment here. Like I pulled my slider. I'm going to go fastball away here just to see if I can just flatten it out a little bit. That's my 2 cents on that. Get them to play the show or watch Twitch show games, right? Watch Wheels. But like the idea of, I think, knowing how the ball moves, and I learned this from John, is super crucial. Because once you know how the ball moves, the shape of the ball, like we talked about in the last podcast, like balls have different shapes. Different shapes do different things. Different shapes mean you have to react differently. And as a hitter, learning to hit a curveball is really hard when you try to hit it like a fastball, like John said, because a fastball is shaped like a straight line, where a curveball is shaped like a mound, right? So if I try to hit a mound like that, it's awkward. Right? Instead of trying to meet it, boom. So just learning how balls move.
Totally. That's a great piece.
Well, I mean, you gave me that.
No,
idea,
but you said it. You said
right?
it. It's all
you
good.
gave me that idea. But
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna shout you out real quick. I want you guys to pay attention to how many of his 8 to 11-year-olds know how to throw hard. That doesn't even mean they throw hard, like they throw 80, but for my young ones out there, they yeet the ball pretty well. And that's one thing that, again, it's like sometimes kids are scared to throw hard or swing hard. And so with what we're talking about, like that's the coaches getting sometimes super involved, like, no. But just like the hardest thing is like, when you know how to throw and catch the ball, that's a really big part of the game. When you can do that hard and accurately, it's super important. So there's my shout out to you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Well, guys, go follow my man, Alex Rojas, Namas Strength Athletics. Dude's got some awesome stuff coming out. Pretty excited about it. He's a movement guy, catcher, coach. Look at him flexing right now. Look at him moving. Look at him,
Well, my back is kind of tight. Did a lot of I'm getting involved more in my MMA stuff right now. I'm trying to get my fight game up a little bit. But dude, it makes me think about baseball so much. Like I think about it like it's crazy.
Right. Well, and it's the sequences, right? It's all the other stuff. Your training partner. Oh my God, armbar master. Goodness.
Oh, dude, that guy. If you guys want to watch a really good highlight of some really fun jiu-jitsu, Grind for Glory 101. That dude is a jiu-jitsu master from the Bay Area. He's not really a black belt, but he's an absolutely phenomenal brown belt. Dude competes. And if you are a baseball player and you're done, and this is my last 2 cents, please do jiu-jitsu if you're done. And you're just like, you're trying to get into something. I really think baseball players like jiu-jitsu because I think we're the fastest reacting athletes, really. And I think jiu-jitsu is a lot about fast reaction. You don't have to necessarily move fast, but if you could think faster, right, that's going to allow you to execute faster. So to any baseball guy that's not playing anymore and you're looking for something, and maybe you like contact sports, but football is a little nutty, right? Jiu-jitsu.
Love it. Well, guys, don't forget, follow all of our stuff. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow Alex. Check out all our stuff. We'll have some more. We have a lot of things. We have to figure out.
We have a lot of things.
And we will definitely get that figured out. If you aren't playing the show, play the show. We stream the show on Twitch all the time. One of my employees is really good at the show, which is fun. But it's also why the way I learned the game, all the ins and outs and stuff, playing video game baseball growing up too. And if you're anti-video game, then you don't understand the benefits, because speed of decision making is a real thing, and video games can help you with that. And that's what's fun about that too. So speed of decision making, that's a real thing. So appreciate it, buddy. Thanks. Have a good day. You're the man.
Go change the world one pitch at a time.
Go change the world. Affect the world. See you, buddy.
Later, guys.